Good morning, everybody. It's Wake Up Wednesday. Are you ready to wake up? Hey, we have another absolutely stunning, beautiful day in front of us. After all those days of rain, when I waved a few times to Noah as he took his little ark coming by, wow, all of a sudden, day after day after day, beautiful sunshine, cool starts, but very, very nice days. Hopefully you've been enjoying them. I have to wonder, is that what it was like for Job? Yeah, Job. We've been talking about him the last couple of weeks. He's the alternate Old Testament reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. And we've been through this arduous journey with him where he had everything, lost everything. Then his good old pals come along trying to convince him that there's something bad that you did, Job. You better repent, or else God's going to continue to squash you with his little thumb. And there's been an awful lot of intrigue and interesting discussions that went on there. But we come to the end now. It's chapter 42. Our reading that we'll have in church on Sunday, if you follow this track of the Old Testament readings, is verses 1 through 6. And then it skips a couple of verses. And you really shouldn't skip anything. And it goes from 10 through 17. Now, I'm not going to get into everything right now. Join us on Saturday for Wild, Weird, and Wacky World of the Word. And we're going to go over why many scholars, in fact, most scholars, agree that chapter 42 is a much later addition to the original book of Job. Because why do they think that? Well, it kind of makes everything too neat and too tidy. All along, the book of Job has been fighting tooth and nail against the whole aspect of, hey, if you're a good boy, God rewards you. If you're a bad boy, or a bad girl for that matter, God's going to punish you. And here comes good old Job, who's the most righteous man on the face of the earth, as it says in Job. And yet things just fall apart for him. What did he do wrong? And that's the whole argument that his friends have. You did something wrong. Well, God finally does answer Job. And now chapter 42 was tacked on there because there were people who were kind of uncomfortable with just leaving it as God is somewhat unknowable, but in some ways he does reveal himself to us, and we just need to live in faith, hope, and trust that he will come to our aid, he will come to our rescue. But the evidence just isn't quite there that he's going to do that. They are uncomfortable with that kind of a theology, if you want to call it. So they put this on here where everything is restored to Job at the very end. However, instead of talking about all the plausibilities and difficulties of saying chapter 42 is just an addition, which we'll get into on Saturday, let's look at what chapter 42 does say to us. Because even if it was an addition, it had something important in it for you and for me. The whole first 7 or 6 verses of it talk about Job and his response to God, and he admits, Lord, I've been talking out of my head, I've been saying things that I don't really understand, and it is about you and not all about me. Quite a good insight. And maybe that's an insight a lot of us need to realize too. This world doesn't revolve around us, but it is God's world. And we need to trust God, even in the midst of things we don't understand and why things are happening. But even looking at verses 10 through 17, where his fortunes are restored to him, it is a story of resurrection. Yeah, coming back to life. Job could have curled up and just died. And all the way through the book, he didn't do that. He remained steadfast. Oh, he was going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other. So he had a real stubborn heart, but in a good way. He wasn't going to give up on God, even when God seemed totally hidden and unreproachable or not reproachable, or where is he? Why did he suddenly disappear? Why won't he answer me? He remained steadfast in his commitment to come up with some answers. And even though God didn't give him any answers, what God did was fully reveal himself. You notice all the way through the book of Job, his friends, four of them all together, who come to supposedly help him out and give him the answers to his woes, they all, what you want to call, theologize about God. They all say, well, this is the way God is, this is what he does, this is the way the world works. No, Job, on the other hand, is it simultaneously shaking his fist at God. Yeah, God, why are you doing this? But he stays in relationship with God, both at the same time. He never pushes God out of his life. He's constantly searching for him, even when he seems so absent, so far away, so non-existent. Hey, you have all those things going on. But here at the end, with this little story that's tacked on at the end, he finds new life. He didn't give up on living. And when everything's restored, it's not like God snapped his fingers, poof, and everything's okay again. No. Notice he has 10 more kids with his wife. They go on and they start a whole new family in the midst of death and destruction and absolute nothingness. They start again in faith. And to have 10 kids, that's not happening overnight. Think how many years it took to have another 10 kids. 15, 20 years, Come on, that's spread out over time. And to amass all the wealth he once again was able to do, that's adding on a lot more years. So he moved and forged ahead in faith. And maybe that's why the editors who added this on later said, hey, this is important for us to know. He never gave up. And we're going to put a more happy ending to this story. And it's also interesting that the editors that translated the Hebrew into Greek and wrote the Septuagint, they even added another verse at the very end of Job that doesn't appear in our Bibles. In fact, in some of our Bibles, it's not even in the footnotes, but it is there. At the very end, it says, and furthermore, he was raised to life along with those that God resurrects in the end. Wow, it's kind of cruel. Cool thing, just how that was tacked on there as well, just to really put the icing on the cake, so to speak. So, it's been a wild ride through the book of Job. And for a lot of people, this is probably a book they should really dive into, because it does say a lot about our personal faith with our Creator and how it can be a personal thing and how we can share all of our griefs, all of our sorrows, all of our doubts, everything with a God who is there for you and for me in the midst of all the woes and troubles that we go through. Well, it's not going to be a woeful day today, I can tell you that. It is awesome. It is beautiful. Get out there, enjoy it. Do some of the chores that you need to do that come along with the falling leaves. And God bless you and be with you all day long.